ladies and gentlemen, welcome for joining us here today on this fine Saturday evening. And we have something for you today, something fantastic, and it is going to be a friendly show match between two teams that are competing in the World Cup this year. We have Costa Rica taking on Team Honduras, and Dex, I could not be more excited for this situation to see a lot of these teams so early. Now, I will preface right out the gate, there is no guarantee of anything, because obviously we haven't had anything locked in terms of players, committee, anything like that. But to be fair, a lot of these players, especially you look at the Costa Rica side, have played in previous World Cups, have been involved. So we are simply excited to see both these nations putting forward some of their best for a good show match here today.
Yeah, absolutely. You talked about that Costa Rica side. We have definitely seen a lot of these players in the past, whether it be in face it, like you said, in that last World Cup where unfortunately Costa Rica was not able to qualify for it. They did finish fifth in their group to try to qualify for it, but still, they bring back a lot of good talent here. A lot of talent that in these past couple years, especially in last year in face it, they've been able to actually win a decent amount here. You have players on Del Patos, players on Factor X. You have two players who on Briarcliff, which is a really good collegiate program in the United States. I mean, you have really good talent here on this Costa Rica team. On the Honduras side, I'm going to be honest here. These are a lot of players that we're kind of seeing for the first time. Only one player me and you, Hunter, have seen, and that was all the way back in the Sudamericano where we saw Z Karma play. But outside of that, a lot of these players are brand new to us. It's going to be really interesting to see what we learn here from Honduras here tonight. Because remember, even though both these teams are going to be playing at their best, it is technically a friendly here for these teams. They're both just trying to really get good practice in, and maybe it's something outside of a scrim environment, something close to where you would normally expect maybe a qualifier coming up here, maybe later on this year. But these two teams, like you said already, just trying to get the ball rolling here. Players are not set in stone just yet for either side. It's always good, though, to have options.
Yeah, it 100% is. And if we're talking about a team with options, you gotta talk about Team Costa Rica, who have 9 on the roster. So while we have a that's funny. Oh, so let's take a moment and talk about both of these rosters here. Of course, the bigger team, we're talking about Team Costa Rica. Now, with Team Costa Rica, obviously 9 players on here. It's a pretty healthy split between all of the roles as well. Let's kind of go down the list here on some of the members here. I mean, we have Artorias, we have Kinzo, we have Jodello, Wedtube, Benji. We also have Spooky Shy, Tulhu, and Daniel over on the side as well. And to be fair, we are familiar with quite a few of these players throughout some of the past. I mean, we have a couple players from Briarcliff University, but we know Webtube and Ujella pretty well from their times previously with Factor X.
And Benji as well. I mean, this support line here for this Costa Rican team is going to be really, really good. I think it might be one of the stronger ones that we see here, at least this early on in this World Cup cycle here, especially for a team like Costa Rica. I think having that backline be pretty solid, what you have right there with Benji and WedTube, even probably some of those players on the bench here who might be able to rotate in, even though they are listed as 2 tanks and 2 DPS who are sitting in the wings here. You always do see a little bit of flexibility a lot of the times now, but I think Benji and WedTube are some of them might be the strongest support line here that we see for a while. Same thing though with Jodello. We've seen them absolutely pop off on that DPS line here in the past. So it's gonna be really fun to see that core essentially, because I think if you have a strong support line, you're gonna be able to go pretty far in any tournament.
Yeah, you 100% are. I love the way this team looks, and obviously we'll see how much it's going to develop as we kind of get closer toward the World Cup, because like we said, nothing has been finalized for any of these teams, and we're not even focusing on group stage until we get way out towards closer to the summertime. So the springtime is going to be, actually the wintertime on top of that as well, it's going to be a big time where we're probably going to see a lot of these show matches between teams. We already had one I think it was last week between Hungary and Team Germany. That was hosted by quite a few people. That was a lot of fun. But we're getting ready to get things started here pretty shortly, so we should take a quick look at our other side of things. Of course, we have Team Honduras, which we know a little less about. This is not a team that has played in the World Cup previously, but this is going to be likely to be their first appearance. They'll be playing in one of those wildcard divisions to move on to the next stage. You have Gladhono, which is Henry. You have Kelf, which we'll call Chinchilla for the evening. Z Karma, Lunar Sky, Benja, and Renas, which is hanging around in that DPS category. And to be fair, we are familiar with at least one of these players, Z Karma, who was previously in the Sudamericana. We saw them over on, I believe it was Team Odessa, and they had a actually not Odessa. thinking of something slightly different, but we are familiar with them. They were in the Sudamericana, and they had a pretty good performance there.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I think the biggest thing here from tonight, at least for me and you, is going to be the takeaway, what we learn about this Honduran team here. I mean, a lot of the players to us are brand new. It's going to be really fun to see how they play, especially up against a Costa Rica team who me and you do feel like is probably on paper better, or at least a little bit more talented. But again, that's only on paper. Once you get into the lobby, it might be a little bit different here. However, it looks like we're going to get the ball rolling here pretty quickly. That's a little bit later down the line, though. Let's focus back in here tonight. This is a friendly show match between these two teams. Again, I don't necessarily know how many maps it's gonna be, but it should just still be a really fun night. These two teams, this is probably outside of maybe some scrims they've had with other, whether it be country teams or other just competitive teams, maybe their first time they're actually playing in a setting like this where they're together. It should be really, really fun to see. We already talked about how well we know this Costa Rican team. That backline might be one of the best that we see here in the, at least the wild card teams in the Americas. I'm pretty sure that's the region that they'll be fighting for. Honduras, so outside of Z Karma, it's gonna be really fun to see all these other players here show us what they got, especially going up against a team that we do think is potentially a little bit better on paper. But hey, that's just paper. Paper can be crumpled up, it can be ripped, it can be burned. You do not have to listen to paper, especially once the action gets started.
Yep, 100%. Ready to get things going here momentarily. Artorias, we saw them earlier when the fun was going on the Zarya. Looks like that might stay. I don't know. Or Henry, I should say, going to be over on the Ramacha as we're getting ready to get things set up. The show match between Costa Rica and Honduras has begun.
We finally get started here for both these teams. Looks like there's going to be TPs out for both. Both of them, you immediately see the difference there in composition. You're going to see Kitso come back out here on the Vendetta. We saw that for the brief moment that we were casting the fake round there on Shambali Monastery. Left, though, coming back out here on the Venture. I like that for them here, especially on a map like this. A lot of open areas and just a lot of cliffs that you can knock off people.
Yeah, well, Benji is going to be the first one to go down, actually. So for Honduras, this opens up the door. They're still kind of stuck in a weird area right now as you're hoping to move forward. Point has opened up, and with Karma going down, things not as solidified right now. Everybody's got to move in, find somebody to be able to kind of just zone in on. You see that right now with Benji extremely low. Needs to be finished off eventually. We're going to see South be able to do just that. But with Artorias getting all of this charge, it's going to start running everybody down. Point gonna go to Costa Rica, but that was extremely back and forth to get things started.
Yeah, extremely. Benji not off to the best of starts here, already dying twice early on. But Vendra going to be able to get out with their own lives. They're preserving it. But hey, that was a really good fight there from both sides. I think if you're Honduras, you had your opportunity, especially finding Benji out early on. You seem to be able to confirm one of those kills. However, you talked about Archeas and Kixo. I feel like it could be a big problem for this Honduras team. We saw how fast that Archeas was able to build up their own charge there, and especially with Kixo being able to play aggressively, that charge is always going to be constantly high here for the Zarya for Costa Rica.
100% it is right now. Seeing a little bit of separation there from Lunar. Actually going to go in with the team. But you're worrying about a consider rush from Wed already. Gonna let it loose. GladoNo is ton deleted. Henry is sent back to the spawn room, and that fight should be done and dusted. You are going to see Chichilla get one on the way out, but that'll just about be it. But you do get rid of all that charge from Arteria, so there is a silver lining.
Yeah, and if somehow Lunar Sky can find their way out of this fight, they could come in. You could see Honduras come in very quickly, and they're going to be able to get out. However, no Sim TP to get them back into this fight quickly. They're not going to really have the opportunity here. But you look at the teams here. You have both your support ultimates and your Tectonic Shock ready to go for Honduras. So you do have openers here for them. However, you have to deal with the grab from Torres for Costa Rica, and that's one thing that I just do not think this Honduras squad is going to be ready for. Oh.
Yeah, Henry is caught up in the grab right now, right on the corner. He's going to be able to stay alive, though. You're trying to get that cap in the back line, and eventually, everybody's going to form back over towards the fight. You're going to try to get something right now. Chichilla managed to get rid of Kitso, so things starting to go their way. Benji does have the beat ready to potentially expend, and is going to indeed let it loose, try to go into the background, but Benja is going to double down in this situation, but Artorias is more than happy to try to keep things alive for the squad here, but it's falling apart with Benji just trying to keep these touches rocking and rolling. It seems like it's an inevitability that the flop is going to come through, as with Wed actually going and getting a nice finish right there. The backline is falling apart. Henry, I don't even think is going to get this annihilation on in time, and with that, things gonna fall apart for Honduras, and slowly but surely, it's gonna be Costa Rica who needs to clean up some house.
Honduras though takes the point right there, only for a brief moment, should only get about, I think that's gonna be 5 or 6%, only 5 right there. I mean, they had their opportunities. That looks like the best fight there towards the end. You just really need Henry to be able to build up to that annihilation, and you would have seen a little bit more of a fight and potentially just a cleanup there. However, one thing I talked about, the fact that it seemed like Honduras really struggled to get rid of Kitso right there. 11-1 in that first map. Wed, the only person who did not die at all for either team right there. Played a very smart round there on that Kiriko. But again, Kitso is someone, especially on Vendetta, who if you allow them to kind of linger in fights, they're going to be able to do so much. And you did see Henry try to take care of them. Karma, Clef try to take care of them, but Artorias, the support line there for Costa Rica, was able to keep up their Vendetta very well here. But now you look at the swaps here for Honduras, going over to a Zarya of their own, and I think that's a little bit better into this composition. It also allows someone like Clef on that venture to maybe play a little bit more aggressively as well, go for those aggressive plays, knowing that the bubble will be there to protect them.
Yeah, you just need to go back over to that venture to get things rocking and rolling. Gonna see what the position is right now, because with Henry now over on the Zarya to match, you might focus on trying to move over towards the point first and try to get some control, but no. You're gonna see part of the team go over and part of the team gets a little bit separated. You see Henry super far ahead, eventually going to be cut down, and with the point opening up here without a Zarya in their hand for Honduras, it's gonna be very difficult to bring this one back around, but eventually there comes the aggression. Lunar cut down, but Benji is gonna finish off some of this back line, and again, Costa Rica gonna take that first fight, and this is about Honduras kind of having to play together as a core.
And Benja needs to be able to get up, and they're not going to be able to, as Artorias going to be able to take care of them right there. However, that seemed like for that first fight there for Honduras, it was just Henry, maybe a little bit of a miscommunication. They went in that front line fight while the rest of their team rotated back towards the point. Again, a little bit of a miscommunication there, because you have Henry probably follow their team to the backside of that point. You might see Honduras actually get the first cap right there before a real fight breaks out, but now you already see Costa Rica trying to take all that space here that Honduras is really giving them.
Yeah, big bubble right there, gonna get a ton of charge if you are Henry, but need to be able to follow up and do something with it right now. Hasn't really gotten a ton of damage in yet for the team, but you do see right now, everybody gonna transition to the backside over towards the point, gonna try to get some kind of free flip. It's not going to come to form. That Hono again, though, is going to get rolled over in that situation right there. You still have Chinchilla hanging around over on the side. Eventually going to be found out. That fight should be done and dusted. Benja does get Benji, though, with the boop, and should be able to get out alive, too.
Again, right now, Kitso and Artorias are just doing so much for this Costa Rican team. Honduras really needs to figure out how to shut one of them down. And honestly, it needs to be Kitso first. You need to shut down this Vendetta, because they're just having their way with no matter where they're going. They can get to any spot very quickly here, but you do have Lunar Sky, has that Kitsune Rush here, and you already see Honduras trying to rotate to the backside of the map pretty quickly here. Kitsune Rush out here. This should be a good fight for them.
Yeah, both of them there. Grab online shortly for Artorias, and it could be the thing that gets them through right now, but you're going to see eventually a flip comes through, and it is going to stem the bleeding a little bit longer, but with that being the case, only going to get probably about 12% on the board right there, and with that, Henry's entire charge is depleted.
Henry's entire charge is depleted, but you're coming into final fight territory, and Henry's not even at 75% towards their grab. While you look over at Costa Rica, outside the Kitsune, which Wed just used last fight, you have everything here. This should be a fight where if you're looking for at Costa Rica, you should have everything in control. The grab's going to be able to find 3.
Yeah, but the grab is going to be able to get everybody except for Chinchilla alive, and now here comes the all-out aggression. Kitso is going to go in for the finish, and with that being the case, no one is going to be around to get the touch right here, so that's going to be the benefit for Costa Rica, as they're going to get the first map taken away. A squad that, I mean, remember, a lot of these players have played together. A lot of these players are former World Cup people as well. They know how to play with each other and have that synergy.
Yeah, absolutely here. I mean, we talked about it here a lot, especially that support line here for Costa Rica, probably being a really strong one, especially for the wildcard teams here in this region. Have to be one that you have to shut down pretty early on. But even though Wed gets to play the game here, I felt like we were talking about Artorias and Kitso a lot more, just being able to do almost whatever they wanted. I mean, Kitso on that Vendetta just seemed to do just God's work at times. Artorias on that Zarya just seemed to be always at high charge, because those two playstyles go hand in hand with each other. The bubbles, it seemed like we're always going out on the Vendetta there to really keep that Zarya charge up here. Quickly going into our second map of the night. Remember, this is a friendly match here, so these teams probably already predetermined the maps. We already know we're going into Watchpoint Gibraltar here, so we're probably going to burn through maps here pretty quickly throughout the night.
Hey, but at the end of the day, that's good news for y'all. Y'all just get to watch back-to-back maps of Overwatch. Love to see it. We love to watch it, obviously, as well. But I don't know. To be fair, it was pretty fun, that first match. While it is a little bit more on the one-sided thing, I don't think the percentage kind of represents how close some of these fights were, how chaotic the opening fights were on top of that. And I'm glad I didn't send it, because there's a quick pause and a quick little reset as we want a daytime Gibraltar. I understand. I understand what's going on here.
Yeah, Hunter, quick thing for you.
Sure.
Overtime.
Oh Lord.
But right now, I mean, going into a map like Watchpoint Gibraltar, a little bit of a different playstyle than what we just saw on Lijiang Tower. Lijiang Tower, we saw that kind of Brawl Zarya playstyle. On Watchpoint, you really expect to see dive competitions come out here from both these teams, and that's probably going to be what we see, unless we see a team really just try to stick with that Brawl, force it a little bit. Symmetra is going to be the only way you really do that, with TPs up to the high ground to be able to get up there. That is a fun strategy, and one that could definitely catch some teams off guard, but we're seeing it already here as teams going to be leaning towards dive. Costa Rica, the Winston dive, that kind of classic dive coming out here from it. You won't have that classic dive backline with the Brig Ana. Instead, it's going to be Brig Kiri, which we've seen this a lot from these two supports. WedTube especially seems to be a Kiriko master when it comes to their playstyle. The other side, though, Hazard coming out here, this is that good little in-between you want to play dive, you want to play brawl. Hazard has that sustainability to really be able to get up to those high grounds very quickly, and then just be able to stay up there a little bit longer than some of the other dive tanks. You also have Clef coming out here on the Venture again. You really want to have that kind of cohesion with your tank here for Henry. You need that to really work there for this competition for Honduras to really get something going here early.
Yep, I am really excited to see Z Karma and Kitso go at it, even this Tracer 1v1. To be fair, as of late, we've seen some pretty good Tracer 1v1s that have been very back and forth, and it could be a great way to get things started right here. As you see Karma hanging around on the point for now. You see Artorias is more than happy to kind of just hang around there and sit around and kind of just wait for the right opportunity to dive up somewhere, because for the time being, he's not getting a ton of pressure, so it's pretty reasonable to keep hanging out here until somebody inevitably dives the high ground.
Well, it actually looks like it could be clipped. There's a dive, though, from Honduras. They're almost finding one, but also some members of that Honduras team very low, as they're not really progressing the card at all.
Yeah, and Artorias is going to be in a bit of a rough situation. Is going to get closed out. They're both stuck in there. Somehow, they live for a moment, but eventually Artorias is going to die, but it's going to be Chinchilla that actually goes down as well, so this is still decently back and forth right here. That cart is going to kind of move forward, but Kitso grabbing the health back right now, still has a recall available, but with the melee, Karma gonna finish them off, and Honduras is gonna start rolling, especially as the Sochi. Oh my god, what a shot!
I mean, Honduras is starting to have everything go their way right there, but losing Z Karma right there is not what you want to see, because that's your backline presence right there before you have that dive come in there from both Henry and Chinchilla. Right now, though, you need to be able to find something here. You still have a little bit of an awkward split here as you wait for Z Karma to get back into the fray. But again, one early pick, especially on someone like Artorias, who's up there on that high ground, opens up so much for you.
100% it does. You see Kitso trying to find somebody over on the side. He's trying to, I think, really wants to try to bait Z Karma to go into this room. But unfortunately for Henry, is in such a rough situation. Gets cared for at the last second, as Honduras, half their time remaining, are going to be coming up on a lot. Both sides coming up on a ton here, but it's going to be Costa Rica that's going to have a majority of it first as well. But let's see that aggression coming through. They're going to try to slide out of there. Big stun over onto Benji, who is literally one health. Rally is there, but it's going to get deleted just as quickly. It's Kitso is going to try to keep this thing going right now with back forth, but Artorias finding the finish. You're going to see once again Costa Rica hang on.
And again, it was looking really good there for Honduras. They're finally starting to get the cart rolling. They're finally starting to get a little bit of momentum going their way. And I think that was a great use of the Tidal Blast right there. You threw it on to Henry. You almost got Benji there. You were able to find Benji there, but that follow-up, and especially as you lose Shin there very, very late in the fight. Not necessarily what you're looking for here for Honduras, especially with 90 seconds left to go. But again, Ultimate's on their side. They're going to have 4 compared to the 3 for the other side. But that 3 for the other side, we've seen D22 in the past absolutely pop off with overclocks. Kitso, if they can find one pulse bomb stick, it doesn't matter who they kill. It's a big benefit here for Costa Rica. The Artorias, though, with the Primal Rage, going to be able just to use that a little bit as a sustain tool here, as the cart has fallen all the way back down to the bottom of the valley, Hunter.
Yeah, not the best place for it to be. Eventually, someone has to go down there and give it a little bit of pressure and start moving it forward. Benji is in really deep right now and is more than likely gonna be punished, but right now Artorias has already gotten rid of Benja, and yeah, that's gonna be another fight done and dusted. Everyone else has to get out. I feel like you have to start somebody down below, like Z Karma, to pressure that card a little bit to get things going.
right now, Lunar Sky finds the one pick right there, and that's huge. However, now they're kind of in no man's land as they're in the backline by themselves, split up from the rest of their team. Yeah, they don't have an ultimate ready to go. Z-Comer uses their pulse bomb, not gonna be able to find anything with it, it seems. Or actually, I think it's swap. But I mean, right now, you have ultimates right now. If you're Honduras, that downpour needs to be something that actually wins you a fight. Normally, a lot of times, I don't feel like that has to be the case with the downpour, but this time around, the downpour has to win you this fight on its own.
Yeah, Wed is going to get rid of Benja really early on. All that pressure is going through. Eventually going to see Chinchilla get a little something. They're going to have to come up really big right here. Primal Rage has been activated. Going to get another finish, but it's going to be knocked up into the air. Overtime did get activated, however. Benja is going to come up with that Consenting Rush, but for the time being, you're going to see everybody trying to hang around, trying to stay alive. Separation over onto Wed is coming back with the Consenting Rush. That could be game-ending. But I talk about what's needed right now. Consenting Rush is barely going to come out in time. Unfortunately, Lunar Sky down. And you're going to see the finish start to come through here. Karma trying to hold on, but slowly and surely, Honduras are going to fall just short of getting that first cap.
And unfortunately there for Benja, the Kitsune got hit by a part right there, stopping it from going any further there. Costa Rica, though, doing a really good job. It seemed like I said, Honduras, they had a little bit of a couple scrappy fights where they were able to get the ball rolling there. They found a huge first pick to get that entire round started by getting rid of Artreus there for Costa Rica. They weren't ever able to keep it up, though. It always seemed like while they would find picks in fights, whoever found that pick would normally be putting themselves into awkward positions. I mean, you could talk about Lunar Sky, the pick they had there with about 45 seconds left to go. Yeah, they found a pick very late in the fight, but it put them all the way in the backline to a point where they're having to hide for the majority of it. And Costa Rica understood that and just didn't chase after them. They understood that eventually Lunar Sky was going to have to show their head again as they were one of the supports. So they would just wait for that moment then, and it worked out perfectly for them here. But now Costa Rica, they give themselves a great opportunity here on the attacking side to really potentially have this be a very quick round. I mean, this is in 1 to 2 fight territory, basically, for them. Honduras, how are you going to play this? Are you going to play it like how Costa Rica did, where you try to stall it early, or are you going to basically wait for it to get to the bottom of the valley before you decide to fight?
Yeah, we'll see what the case is going to be. They're definitely going to need somebody down there pressuring the cart. You saw before, Artorius is more than happy to just sit on the cart, kind of deny a lot of that pressure. Eventually was forced to dive up to the high and the cart moved forward. But in this situation, it would not surprise me if you saw that simple situation of Artorius just doing the same thing on attack. Bringing pressure to the cart, forcing somebody to have the drop, which, to be fair, you have quite a couple people between Henry and Chinchilla that can simply drop without any big consequence, but someone will probably have to do so eventually.
SimTV coming out here for Costa Rica, get that support line up to the high ground on the opposite side. Actually, it looks like it's just Benji and D22 that are up there for the brief moment as Wed going to stay on the low ground. Costa Rica want to push the card here, and Honduras is going to allow them to for the brief moment. Looks like they're going to try to potentially stall them here at just the first little choke point as the cart is getting down to the bottom of that valley where I thought they would, but Wed, huge pick there on the Z-Karma.
Yeah, nearly went down, was down at 4 health, but manages to stay alive. Almost gets taken out. Is going to try to stay alive. Will eventually get the necessary care to stay alive. But Lunar has been separated, taken care of, and now all you have to do is just all you can do is back out of here. But you see immediately all that pressure on Nikolai. Oh no, who's just really trying to stay alive.
Look at where the card is already. I mean, Costa Rica, they've just kind of been pushing this up as Honduras has been taking, I feel like 1v1 fights here. Not necessarily what you want to be seeing. Glad falling there. That's not good.
Yeah, you get some more touches coming through here. Your spawns are a little bit closer, but everyone is just being finished off one by one. And with that, again, they were the last person to touch on the defense, not the last person to touch with the attack. As, yeah, that'll be fast right there for Costa Rica, who just, again, the biggest thing is to take away from this right here is how comfortable Costa Rica is with each other. Honduras, remember, they have not been a World Cup team before. They are still figuring things out. They're not necessarily players that are super familiar with each other's styles and the like. Costa Rica, they 100% are, and it shows right there.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go that far with Honduras saying this might be the first time that they're kind of trying to gel here, because this seems like a team that has been put together for a little bit, but this might be the first time they're actually in a really serious scrim here, or they're going up against a team like Costa Rica, who we have talked about being, you know, really probably a better team on paper, but Honduras did show us some stuff there. They just need to be able to really start a fight and be able to finish it. They found early picks a lot of times in their offensive around there, that first round, but they weren't able to find the next pick and the next pick after that. They didn't get trades. They would always find one and then lose 2 or 3. Going in now to Cervasa here very quickly, they need to be able to get that first pick and then find the second or at least be able to trade out. You need to give yourself an advantage as the fight goes on here. Honduras, they have been getting better, I think, as this night has gone on. Granted, we've only seen 2 maps, but I think they're getting better. I think they're getting settled down in this series. Costa Rica, on the other hand, they're showing us right now why they might be a team that needs to be a little bit feared going into that wild card round, especially with the teams that are already locked in. Costa Rica definitely has a chance here to say, like, hey, we see a path here for us being able to qualify for World Cup.
Yeah, and the path exists for any country. It really does. These next few months are going to be spent kind of developing the style, developing how it is you want to kind of develop yourself as a team. And you're going to see that happen a lot. I think throughout the series, you're going to see it happen a lot, especially with Honduras, who are going to keep trying different things. And that's what you have seen, by the way. You haven't seen it as much when it comes to Costa Rica, but Honduras, they've been constantly swapping up the tank and trying different styles, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, again, that's what these friendlies are for here. The chance for you to really try out different stuff, different compositions, maybe even different players here at times. We haven't necessarily seen any swaps here from either side. We do know Honduras has 1 and Costa Rica has 4, but Costa Rica are already showing us what we basically saw back on map 1 for them, essentially. While on the other side, Henry coming out here with the Jump Queen, which I love for a map here like Surabasa, but you definitely need Lunar and Benja to really step up, especially with how low Henry's already getting here.
Yeah, very low to get things started. He's going to try to get that, but it's a perfectly timed cleanse right there. Stop all that damage from coming through, but Henry has a ton of sustain to work with right now. Just needs to be able to find somebody to finish off, because eventually you're going to see the mad dash over to the point. They're probably not going to touch this in time to contest. You will get 1 hit, though. Unfortunately, the pick will come through there. Lunar going to be the first one to go down, and again, Henry's getting off a lot of damage. Unfortunately, isn't being able to get the finish on a lot of people.
Just not being able to find anything just yet. Henry's been really good at stalling out, being able to at least get something going. Z-Karma, they could be able to find Kitso, but it's not going to necessarily lead to much here, as you already just see Costa Rica pushing up very far here. I mean, Costa Rica, at this point, not necessarily afraid to get aggressive here, trying to play up a little bit early, try to force Honduras into spots where maybe they use a couple of their cooldowns a little bit early and they're able to bounce back and try to just get them while they're waiting for them to come back here. But you will see one last engagement coming in here for this round here if Honduras, or for the first point, if Honduras does not end up winning it. But you already see Chinchilla just waiting, or Chin just waiting in that backline. Gonna be able to get a touch here to draw some attention. But Kit's so low here. I mean, this is a point here for Honduras. If you know it's one player low, you have to find that out, especially with what Kitso did on that first point or map. Getting rid of them early is huge.
Yeah, that is massive right there. And now they need to be able to find some target to finish. Henry gets pushed in though. And now everybody extremely low, pushed back. And that was starting to go the way. Unfortunately for them, it falls apart. First point, gonna head over to Costa Rica.
And this is what I was talking about with Honduras here coming into this map. They're able to find early picks, but they're never able to necessarily find the trades after that or find that next pick. It's always they might find the first, but then after that, it's just Costa Rica coming right back in and finding the next 1, 2, 3, potentially even 4 or 5. You need to be able to find that first pick and then keep that momentum rolling here. You look at the ultimate zone coming up here. You're going to have 3, potentially 4 ready to go for Honduras, as already 4 are ready to go right now for Costa Rica. That grab from Artoris going to be the one you really look at to come out here first. Other than that, I mean, you might see the beat come out here from Benji.
Yeah, remember, keep in mind, there is no beat available, so if they get grabbed, there's not a big defensive tool. You will see, though, beat gonna come online just in time. Almost got taken out beforehand, but no, it's Wed finishing off 2 of them already. Casino Rush is going to work out. It is a investment on both sides of the table, though. All support ultimates were used there.
Yeah, all support ultimates were used there, but now if you're Artoris, you're looking at that like, hey, you have a free ride here for any kind of usage of your grab. The only thing that can really stop anything is the Suzu from Benja. So you have a great opportunity here to be able to find a combo, just find an early fight victory pretty early on here, especially with how far they pushed up the grab. Already out, captures 3.
Yeah, you are seeing everyone hang up on top and eventually going to be rolled down. One thing you can say, though, that was a very aggressive move right there, and that gives plenty of time for Honduras to set up for one more fight.
Yeah, and if you're Honduras, you still just need to be able to set up as a team. You have some ultimates coming into this one here, but you're still looking at 2 ultimates ready to go for the other side. Both your DPS ultimates are going to essentially be what's ready here now for each side. And again, Honduras, finding the first pick's going to be huge, especially with how aggressively we've been seeing Costa Rica play throughout the night. They have that confidence, though, to play aggressively, because they really haven't been punished just yet.
No, they really haven't at this stage. And we'll see. We see the aggression right now is trying to do a little something eventually going to be forced out, is hitting extremely low. Bait finish coming through from Z-Karma, who's already gotten rid of 2 at this stage. hoping to keep these going, as right now Artorias extremely low, but you know, their forward flip going to come through. You still have Kitso and Wed hanging around, but they're gonna have to, for the time being, back out of it.
And I mean, this is exactly what I was saying. Honduras, they have been struggling to even find trades and fights. They found trades and fights there. They had the advantage throughout the majority of it. That was the first really good fight we've seen from Honduras tonight. And look, they have control of the point. Ultimate's ready for each side. You're going to have the Tectonic Shock and the Sundering Blade. I think the Tectonic Shock there from Henry is going to be a little bit more of the, or my bad, from Chin, it's going to be a little bit more of the valuable one here. If the Sundering Blade finds more than one pick, it's huge, but the Tectonic Shock out here early on.
Yeah, very early on, Sundering Blade is there, and you're going to see Chinchilla get soloed right there, and here comes the all-out aggression. Kitso is trying to go wild and seems to be pretty successful, and Lunar Sky gave themselves the ult, and unfortunately get booped off, so that is going to be that taken care of. It is a better performance right there from Honduras, but Costa Rica will take second point.
And I don't necessarily know what Honduras could have done better there in that fight. I just think, like, I would love to say, I would love to see them be a little bit more aggressive, especially when that Tectonic Shock came out. Because all that we saw was the Sundering Blade come out there from Kitso, and everyone for Honduras kind of seemed to back up, other than Chin, who ended up being the one who died from it. I mean, you need to see a little bit of more of a follow-up there from Honduras, but right now Honduras can be able to get set up here early on in this point. However, Benji has the beat ready to go, so you know Costa Rica, once this point opens up, I would not be surprised if you see him just beat in to try to clean up the fight and get the first cap here pretty early on.
And you 100% could, and you see that aggression right there. Beat is still available, but waiting for the right moment right now. Remember, Henry is going to have that beat available. Benji extremely low, but see Karma has gone down, grab thrown in there. And eventually, that beat should be able to get them the dub that they need. And remember, that point was already flipped over, so you'll still get some percentage if you are Honduras.
Yeah, 17%. It's nothing to scoff at right there. A really good percentage. You still have your grab, though, here for Henry, which is really, really good coming in this next engagement, especially since beat was just used. So you have essentially a free grab, much like what I talked about with Costa Rica's first grab. They had no support ultimates really to slow it down, so you have good opportunity here for Honduras to come back in very quickly. The only thing you have to worry about now is Artorias building up to their own grab, and D22 having this overclock ready to go, because that could be something that, even if they're stuck in grab, could really, really cause a big problem here for Honduras. But D22 getting low here pretty early on, as you already see Chinchilla getting into that backline.
Yeah, 100% you do, and hey, that's a good start right there. Chinchilla getting a big pick. Unfortunately, Benji there directly afterwards. Brad is here, just waiting for the right moment, is going to get a whopping 0, unfortunately, though. That's a devastating situation right there. Kitso is going to get out. Another grab is online. He's going to get the tidal wave and going to be able to stay alive. Gets a nice stun right there over onto Artorias. Doesn't have to follow quite there yet, but Henry has max charge, needs to stay alive as this is final fight territory, but Artorias is more than happy to try to shut this one down, as Henry giving it though. Unfortunately, Kitso is going to end things right here and should set this one sailing for another Costa Rica win.
Yeah, Lunar Sky will be the final one to fall here. But again, I think we've been seeing Honduras get a little bit better as this night and as this friendly's been going on. But Costa Rica right now showing us they are still probably the better team here, as they've been dominant in all 3 maps we have seen so far. Here, again, they're just doing everything right. You see, it seems like they're really gelled together. That communication is there. They're not just throwing ultimates into fights just to throw them into fights. They're being very smart with it. I mean, we talked about a lot of times where they've had 4 ultimates going into fights. They've only used 2, leaving 2 for the next one. That's what you want to be seeing from these teams here, especially early on, while we're still very much in the early phases of this World Cup qualifying action here, as we haven't technically even started the qualifying rounds yet.
Yeah, we haven't. Again, it's going to be a while until we get to the actual qualifiers, which means these teams are going to have a lot of time to practice and get their stuff together. And that's going to be the case for all the regions, obviously, especially those that are going to have that little bit of extra time. They don't have to play within the wild card as well. You think of Team Brazil, you think of Team Colombia, that will kind of have that extra time to be able to work and kind of also see how their competition is playing in that wild card and who gets through. But obviously, it's a long way out. But teams are going to think of this now, because it is important to the development of how they're going to go for the next couple of months until you get towards those official games, where it's like, hey, we got to lock in with everything we've learned this year and put forward. And right now, you are seeing Honduras kind of develop in their own way in this match and try different things and see, hey, what works for us.
Yeah, and one thing that we have consistently seen from this Honduras squad here tonight is that DPS line. The DPS line hasn't really swapped at all, and I really think that Chinchilla, who's been playing the Venture the majority of the series here, I actually think they're doing a really good job. They just need a little bit more. They need a little bit more help, really. I mean, you're seeing the tank slowly get there, but I mean, a lot of times you saw that Venture just kind of always going to the backline, and towards the end of Surabasa they're finding picks almost every time. They're giving their teams good opportunities for openers. Yeah, a lot of the times though, there's also the caveat of they're not getting out alive. They're not getting back to their team, but you're still finding that one pick. And like I said, Honduras, the one thing they really need to improve on here is being able to, after they find that first pick, just being able to at least trade out the next two, still giving yourself an advantage here. As I think we're heading into a map, even after a player just asked for 5 minutes for a bio break.
To be fair, 3 maps of organized Overwatch in a row, that could do something to a person. Not gonna lie. It's by the way, it was Wed who wanted the break. But to be fair, justified. For those who don't know, there is another South American tournament which I think is either just wrapped up or is finishing up shortly. That Wed played in that match. So Wed has not only already played 3 maps here, but also played at least 2 maps in that other tournament. So back to back like that, it can be a little something. We'll see if they get the bio or not.
Yeah, and right now we're heading into Circuit Royale. We asked for bio. So we're gonna probably get a quick pause here, but we're going into Circuit Royale, and again, a different type of map here. We've seen essentially 2 brawl maps with Lijiang Tower and Surabasa. Now, after we went to the dive map of Watchpoint Gibraltar, you're heading now into a little bit more of a poke map where you can still definitely play brawl, still definitely play dive, but it's gonna be really interesting to see. I think poke come out here from both these teams. And it looks like we do have a sub coming in here for Honduras, as it looks like Rennie coming in for the first time tonight in place of Chinchilla, who I did talk about saying I think has been doing a really good job on the Venture. Even though the result hasn't been there for Honduras, I thought they were doing a good job of at least being able to find that opening pick for Honduras. But Rennie coming in here, this is what we want to kind of see from these teams, is the people that are on their bench. Honduras only has the one, so Rennie coming in now, hovering over the Genji, going to give us some opportunity here, maybe see a little bit more from them. Still no changes here from Costa Rica, which is honestly, after this map, I would love to see the swaps come in just to see what else Costa Rica has. Because right now we're seeing this 5 here of Arturas, Kitso, D22, Benji, and Wed be really, really strong. I want to see what else Costa Rica has, especially as Honduras is bringing in Rennie now.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see what the swap up is going to bring, because again, I like the fact that we're kind of seeing different players come in. Who knows if that's going to be the case for Costa Rica in this situation, but Honduras is making sure all 6 of them are able to get in and get plenty of playtime, and I like that. And maybe Rennie comes in here on this Genji, maybe does something awesome, maybe kind of pushes momentum their way, and they can figure things out a little bit more, because I'm going to double down on this a lot throughout the entire night and for however many of these we do over the course of the next month. Is that nothing is solidified. So you're trying to see what people do, and hey, if you come in here and there's a sizable performance and things kind of go your way, you never know what happens in that situation. But so far, I like that Honduras has kind of been developing over and over again and just continuously trying to do different things and slowly, I think, improve over the course of this game.
Yeah, honestly, I've been saying it. I think Honduras has slowly been getting better, consistently been getting, or they've been consistently improving throughout this series here. You can go to the first map, they had their opportunities, they just weren't able to capitalize on them. Second map, had their opportunities, were able to capitalize on them a little bit, but not necessarily get a lot. Third map, again, we're able to capitalize on them a little bit better than the second map. So they're slowly improving here. You bring Rennie in now for what is a poke map. If they're going to be playing this Genji, I actually think it works out for them a little bit better here, especially with whatever we see Henry come out on, whether it be a poke tank, something maybe like a Ramatra, something like a Sigma, or they just stick with kind of what we've been seeing from them all night long, which, I mean, there hasn't been a consistent tank from them. They have played a different tank every map so far, which is one thing me and you have been really happy about here from Henry on Honduras. They've been able to show us a little bit of flexibility. Same thing, though, could be said for Arturas, who has shown us a little bit of flexibility throughout the night as well, but they've been mostly sticking with the Zarya, who you can still definitely see here on Circuit.
Yeah, 100% we could. And we'll see what the situation ends up being with that here pretty shortly. As, hey, players getting their bio, you know, you need that in these situations. But no, I'm going to be excited to see what that ends up bringing. I will say, I normally don't ask this on the air, but how you feeling right now, Dex? How are you feeling? Just how you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling I'm feeling good. I mean, right now, these two teams are really showing us a lot here, especially like you said, nothing's really set in stone. We can see a lot of movement happen. Some players, maybe something comes up, they're not able to be a part of these qualifiers. And some players maybe getting their name out there for the first time, trying to show off a lot here. Again, a lot of these names for Costa Rica we have heard of before. I think Arturas might be the one that me and you necessarily haven't heard of. We definitely heard D2210. Kitso, I feel like we've seen in some tournaments in some capacity. So we're seeing some good performances here from members of Costa Rica who we haven't seen in the past. And Honduras, again, even though they're struggling so far, you again don't look at what the scoreboard says for this series. It's a friendly. The results at the end don't necessarily matter towards a lot for Honduras. I think no matter what you take, no matter what. At the end of this, you take away a lot of positives because you're really getting some good film to really go back and look over here. You're honestly, like we said, been getting better, especially going into a poke map here. I want to see them continue to improve here a little bit, especially with them attacking here first. They have a good opportunity to really set the tone in this map. But you already see from Costa Rica, Arturas coming out on Sigma again. Poke map, kind of expect that, but look at what else we're seeing here potentially from Costa Rica. Kitso on the Hanzo, Benji sticking with showing us. Actually, I think the first instance of Wu Yang for them. Wed showing us something a little bit different from what as well, not playing Kiriko, showing us Iari as well, which I love seeing Iari on this map, and Henry also showing us the Sigma here. So again, they're bringing us to this map so they can play poke a little bit. It's going to work out for both teams and giving good practice for both teams, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. Poke is going to be a very integral part because obviously you don't know how the meta is going to change. But that Sigma has been very strong as of recently, so we'll see what ends up coming to form right now. Arturas hanging on the high ground. He's getting burnt away pretty heavily, I would say. So has to kind of pull that corner a little bit as Honduras doing a really good job to give aggression. As you're going to see them use Ace. You don't see this rule all the time. Going in that top right corridor and poking away, it's forcing Arturas to kind of split their view a lot.
To be honest, I always kind of forget that is there on this map. You see it, you like you said, you don't see it that often, and Rennie tries to dive Arturas right there, but going to be rocked for their troubles, and now that's going to kind of force, that's not going to kind of, it's going to force Honduras here to just kind of back up and regroup here, wait for Rennie, who's going to come back here very quickly, but like you said, Arturas has been one that's getting melted down pretty quickly. Benji and Wed doing a really good job keeping the Sigma alive right now.
100% as Benji does get caught out. See Karma, great shot. And maybe get things moving here for Honduras, who have been trying to kind of push through this for a minute now. Hasn't really gotten a whole lot, but I think with that pick, things open up beautifully for them. It forces Arturas and the rest of Costa Rica around the corner where they're going to give up the initial sight lines.
Again, this is what I've been saying for Honduras. You want to find that first pick and then be able to find the second one. We haven't seen them do that throughout the night very much. Maybe one time. Rennie trying to take some space, but oh my god, the Captain Sun already ready here. Wed looking for a lot of targets.
Yeah, it's going to get at least one person down, and it connects, gets rid of two. Benji helps finish off as well. The support's going wild there, as this is what you saw before. Honduras got momentum. They were shut down by the supports, and after that, they didn't get much of anywhere.
But right now, you look at the other side. Lunar gonna have their Captive Sun, Benja gonna have their Kitsune Rusher. So you have tools right now for Honduras coming back into this next thing. Arturas, though, has that Flux ready to go, which could basically cancel out that Kitsune Rush from Benja. So you have to be very, very smart here for Honduras to be able to find that opening action here. Rennie, though, gets very low, gonna have to fall back into that little side room right there to get themselves back to full health.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see. There's a Flux available. That'll be for both sides, actually. You might see Arturas let this rest of the moment or go through that little opening right there. Especially as there's a ton of people top right now. But waiting for that right opportunity. One of them is eventually going to have to pull the trigger to get this fight started. It's going to be Benja that's going to go with that City Rush. And you're going with that Flux. He's going to catch on at least one person. No one's going down. Lunar Sky is going to get blocked right out of the air by the shield from Arturas. Then it's an unfortunate set of circumstances, and with that, Lunar is taken out of the sky, and again, Honduras have to reset.
And the worst thing about that, and Lunar giving them their credit right there, is when you look at the health bars there for Costa Rica, D22, Wed, Benji, we're all very low. That Captain Sun hits, that's probably a fight-winning ultimate right there for Honduras. They would have been able to get that first point. But now, look at coming into this next fight here. You're going to have both your DPS ultimates ready to go here for each side. The Flux ready to go as well for Honduras. So that gives them a little bit of tools they could use here. But you look at Kitso, that Dragons, especially down these long, straight corridors, could definitely find a lot of value here. And D22 could immediately follow up right after with the overclock here. 30 seconds left to go for Honduras to get something going here.
Woo! That is a good shot on the Lunar. Okay, all right, so we see you. We see you loud and clear, keeping things rolling. Now with 20 seconds left, you're even worried about a touch at this point, honestly.
Yeah, you're worried about a touch, especially losing Henry, and that's, I mean, worst case scenario right now for Honduras. You might have to see one of those support swap. Yeah, it's gonna be Benja going over to the Lucio. And Rennie might just have to kind of blade over the building here just to get back to Cart. Looks like that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to fall down, get the touch. So overtime will commence here. Another Captain Sun, though, out here for Costa Rica.
Yeah, and you're going with that, not getting anything. You see Karma, who's got to try to clutch up here for the squad. Got rid of one. Touch is going to come through here. Eventually going to be surrounded. Get one more realistic touch here, and yeah, that'll do that. Another full hold. Going to come through here, and again, it's a thing where the performance starts out pretty good, and unfortunately, after just kind of getting shut down on a good fight from them, unfortunately just not able to find anything after the fact.
Yeah, quick off-topic thing here, Hunter. That game went your way.
I'm so happy. Thank you, Lord.
But I mean, you could talk about the thing that really, the one moment that kind of changed the entire momentum for Costa Rica in that round. Red Tube's first Captain Sun. The fact that it found so much value off it, found a team kill. Honduras was never really able to get anything going back there. You remember, Honduras actually found a first pick going into that fight there. It was a 5v4, but that Captive Sun just opened up so much there for Costa Rica, and Honduras was never really able to get anything going back. I mean, it seemed like, again, they were figuring something out there, but just wasn't enough there for them, as Costa Rica, again, gives themselves a very favorable spot here now on this map. Really, all they need to do is win one fight, and we could be looking at it being over, as Benji puts in the Wikipedia page for Juven.
I love that.
Looking for, oh my god.
Full body chill.
Dear God. You can see Costa Rica's having a lot of fun with this. But I mean, right now, Costa Rica, not any big surprise of what they're coming out with here. Kitso on the Pharah at least is a little bit of a fun tease. You look over at the other side though, Rennie coming out on the May, it kind of shows you that that Honduras might be looking to try to bunker up here a little bit early at this first corner. And I don't blame them for that. I think they basically have to. If they're not going to bunker at this first corner, you have to just be playing the bridge, which essentially is where that golden box of victory is.
Yeah, 100%. That's what you're playing for. Kitso's over on that Pharah, which, to be fair, I haven't seen the Pharah today, but to be fair, it could have a pretty big impact in a situation where playing this corner, it's going to be really hard because you have Zcom and Rennie on characters that are not going to be able to easily take care of the Pharah. So you're going to see everybody pull back and really give away those sidelines.
I mean, Z Karma has to deal with Kitso. That's going to be the biggest thing here. But again, that's a lot of burst damage coming up. But Z Karma no longer on the field to deal with the Pharah. But it doesn't matter. It's D22 starting to take over.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough situation as they're going to get pushed back. Slowly but surely, they get the finishes, and that's going to be Costa Rica keeping at it, doing what they do best, as they're going to push up here, get the finishes, as that point will eventually slowly go through. It's another one for Costa Rica.
Another one for Costa Rica here, and my gut feeling is there's one more map that we'll play tonight, because that'll be all 5 modes. Maybe we see a 6th map, maybe we see a 5th map, or a 7th map as well. But I mean, Costa Rica, they've just been showing us a lot here tonight, even in the little showings that, or how short their maps have been. They're showing us a lot about how this team can play. They seem very confident in their play styles. This is core 5 for Costa Rica. It's going to be very scary to go up against here. Any team, for any team really, in these wild card rounds here, as they look very, very strong right now. But again, we have to stress this. Very, very early on. We've stressed a lot throughout the night. Stuff does change. Players could change. Players could come in. Players could drop out. Honduras, I think still, this is a good thing for them. Even though they're not finding the results, this is really good for them to be able to go back and VOD and just be able to learn where they're kind of making mistakes, because there has been some noticeable mistakes sometimes that they could easily fix and be a lot different for them.
Yeah, it could be a lot different. And I'm happy to see them kind of develop over that time. Now they went their own little buyout, which is fair. Hey, Mono's in the chat. Love to see it. But no, I'm happy to see them kind of just continuously develop over the series. Right now, Costa Rica is kind of just showing what they can do, because, again, we talked about on paper how good of a team that they look, and they're showing that they're that good of a team. We weren't familiar with Artorias going into this game, but I think they have been very consistent on that. Very consistent on holding that charge, managing positioning a lot of the time, and bubble, just timing in general has been really on point. So it looks good for them, as for the time being, we're ready to go into a next map where
they did ask for bio.
They did ask for bio, but also, I don't know. We'll find out in a moment here if that's going to be the case or not.
we're gonna probably get it here,
Yeah.
right after the timer kind of runs down. We'll get the pause, but I mean, heading into Kings Row, don't know if this is the final map of this friendly, or if there's gonna be another one because we haven't seen push yet. I believe there's the pause with 8.7. Thank God. Um, but I mean, we haven't seen push yet from either of these two teams, which I'm kind of surprised of. I feel like that's going to be a mode, especially in these qualifiers. It's going to be potentially a deal breaker, or one that really decides a lot of series. But right now, heading into Kings Row, this is a map where if you are Honduras, you're probably expecting this to be your best performing map again, because we always talk about it. It's Kings Row. Teams bring themselves to Kings Row all the time because they feel like they can win it no matter what here. Costa Rica, on the other hand, you just need to basically keep on doing what you're doing. No swaps for them. Rennie staying in here for Honduras. I like that. I want to see what they can do here a little bit more because we did not see a lot last map from them. A second map should be able to tell us a little bit more about how Rennie plays.
Yeah, that's what we're really going to see in this situation. I think it'll be easier on a map like Kings Row to see a little bit more of what they could do because unfortunately, they were going between a couple different characters right there. I think primarily we saw that May for a little
Kenzie
while.
and May.
Yeah, but just it's one of those maps where unless you kind of have a more aggressive style, the mate doesn't work out all that well. But I think in this kind of map right here, where I think the corners are a little more narrow, it's a lot more boxed in. I think the make it work better. So if the make comes back out again, I think it's gonna be a lot more. It's gonna be more successful of a time for Rennie to rock that May.
Yeah, especially as Kings Row is probably one of May's best maps, just in the game, period. Whether you're on the attacking side or the defense side, I would say it's probably a little bit more stronger, but still, the attacking side, we have seen May's work out very, very well. I mean, hell, you can even go back to, I believe it was Wednesday in Face It. We saw May do a lot of work on this map, both on the offensive and defensive side. Ice Wall is still a very, very strong ability, maybe one of the strongest abilities in the game. Yeah, you can break the wall, but you have to break it fast enough to save your teammate. That's going to be very important going in this one if we do see Rennie stick on the May, but primarily last map they did play Genji, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cyber Ninja come back out here for them. On the other side, though, for Costa Rica, I feel like I feel like we're just gonna kind of see a repeat of what we saw in maps 1 and maps 3, where it's gonna be the Zarya, Soj, Vendetta, and probably the Kiri and Lucio. Actually, was it Kiri Lucio? I think it was Kiri Lucio.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. We'll 100% see what the case is going to be here. Obviously, I'd be excited though. We haven't seen like, have we seen like? I'm trying to think. Have we seen any Baptiste so far? Because I cannot recall any Baptiste to this point.
We really haven't seen any Baptiste. We really haven't seen much of the support class. I mean, we've seen a lot of Kiri, we've seen a lot of Lucio. We did see Juno for a little bit. We did see Brig, I think, for a brief moment there. And I mean, last map we saw Iari, which again, that's a very map-based pick right there on Circuit Royale, where you're looking at that poke, those hit scans, having an Iari basically be a hit scan on that support line works out very well there. Ana could be something we've seen. We haven't seen Ana just yet because you go back to the one dive map we played where you normally expect to see that Brig on a backline. We saw Brig Kiri instead from Costa Rica. Ana definitely could be played here.
No, 100% could be played here. It kind of just offers specific signs, especially you look towards that first point for attack and defense. It could set you up in really good territory if you nail that nade and say, hey, maybe you're going to see Henry and the rest of Honduras like focus on a faster style that can kind of get to that high ground. You hit a good nade right there. At the very least, it's going to force somebody like Kitso to have to back off and wait for a cleanse or for the NT to go away. Something like that can be very helpful. Obviously, we'll see how it does develop. We have been seeing the attack every single time from Honduras first. I'm not going to lie, just me personally, I would love to see them defend first and see what happens in that situation.
I would too. I would really much prefer that as well, mostly because it probably guarantees us a little bit of a longer experience here with Honduras. But right now, I mean, if you're Honduras, again, I think the biggest thing from this is you just got to be able to find a little bit of consistency. While you do find early picks, you just don't find anything after that. You need to be able to at least be able to trade out, find 2 picks in a row. Because we've seen Honduras, when they have that advantage, they actually do seem like a team that is able to communicate very well and pick out a target to find that next one here. Looks like we're getting ours, so we're going to be going in here pretty quickly into Kings Row, which, again, could be our final map of the night. Could not be. We don't know. But I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what we see from these teams. Like I said, I think we're gonna see exactly what we saw in maps 1 and maps 3 from Costa Rica, Honduras. We've been seeing them swap something up every map, and that's been one thing that's been really fun. However, I think you kind of need to go back to maybe something a little bit more brawly here. Ramatra, I would not be mad with. Hell, if you mirror the Zarya from the start, I think it could also help you out here.
It could help you out a lot. And again, it's something that I really would like to see from them in this situation, because we've been able to see quite. Oh, hi Benji. All right, I guess I should say
Benji
bye
was
for now.
Well,
Yeah, we'll see in a minute, because remember, while we've only seen 5 from Costa Rica, they did have 9 players listed on this roster, and obviously maybe Benji just I don't know. Internet's a funky thing too, for all we know. I'll go ahead and.
I think one of them said something that the internet was potentially a problem.
Well, to be fair,
Benji's back.
yeah, but I say with the thing of poor in Eterno, I feel like
No.
I feel like
Benji's here. Benji's gone. Oh no.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, we'll hopefully get Benji back.
Benji's back.
Okay, let's see how long it lasts this time.
Quick, hit the R's. Teams are ready up. Let's get into this map.
Henry said R, so they're gonna be ready to go here.
Henry said R, but I don't think Costa Rica noticed.
It was buried by Benji, so I can't say I blame them too much. Oh man, we'll see momentarily though. As they haven't really swapped anybody out so far, which is a bit, I guess you could say, a bit surprising with this being a show match. It's like, hey, this is an opportunity to kind of get different players in, like Spooky, like Tolhu, Daniel, and Shy, who we just haven't really seen anything from yet, because Spooky was originally a part of that World Cup team in 2023. They are part of the Costa Rica team for Copa Americana last year, and is on Benji with or plays with Benji on Briarcliff University right now. So I guess I'm a bit surprised in that situation, but to be fair, we don't know who exactly is or isn't here tonight, so maybe the situation of, hey, these are the 5 we've got, let's rock with it.
Yeah, and sometimes having 5 just ready to go, only having 5 is never necessarily a bad thing, but does make you a little bit more predictable. However, even with that predictability here for Costa Rica tonight, they have been able to play a very solid performance here. And okay, I was dead wrong about what we were going to see from Costa Rica here. Diva, it looks like they're coming out with a little bit of a dive composition here. We do see the honor for the first time tonight from WedTube, but Benji's showing us the mercy. Very, very interesting. Could work out. Reds could be something that works out very well for them here, but like I said, for the other side, Honduras, they're showing us that Ramatra here early on. Benja back over to the Wu Yang, which they've been playing a lot throughout the night. Lunar on the Kiri. Z Karma basically on their mainstay. It seems like with this Soj and Rennie, at least probably get one shot on the Widow before they make a swap as well, but looks like we're seeing potentially Widow or Mercies from both sides, but I feel like that's just there for Rennie for one shot.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up being the case right here, as Rennie nearly gets their head taken off. Gonna go back over to that Genji, and with that suit, Benja back over towards the Wu Yang.
I mean, right now, if you're Honduras, especially with the composition that Costa Rica is playing, if you get rid of someone like Benji early on, that opens up so much for you. And Artaurus playing this Diva, I mean, if you can get them D-maxed, it opens up a lot for you as well. So if you're Honduras, this might be your best opportunity here to get something going fast.
Yeah, by the way, Kitso is already at 40%, by the way. I mean, I'm sure that big deflection helped earlier, but Rennie is in that room right now, hoping to get the 1v1. Eventually going to be forced out, as Artaurus is going to go in there as well. Hey, with Henry back over on that Ramatra, I think honestly looked pretty decent back on the Ramatra when we first started this series, as Kitso was pushed out really far. And for the time being, Honduras is slowly taking some level of space.
And they're taking space because, honestly, Costa Rica's allowing them to take some space. You see that space almost immediately get melted away, though, as Z Karma, first one taken out.
Yeah, rough situation, but Henry is getting something going right here. Needs to manage his cooldowns a little bit. It's kind of going back and forth, which, by the way, didn't say Artaurus is currently out of the mech. It's not being pursued, though. It's going to need to be followed. You're going to see whether or not that mech comes in time, and it's going to just barely.
They didn't get a tick. Okay, they got it.
Hey, progress. This guy got wet as well, so that means this one's not cooked quite yet. A nice little show right there. Z Karma gets the finish. I mean, Artaurus and Kitso are going to get back over towards the fight. Kitso is going to have a Blade Rider on the corner, but they are not going to retouch in time. So first point going to be capped away already in the first, 2 minutes here. Honduras have kind of showed their progress thus far.
They've shown their progress, but I also think it's because Costa Rica is playing a little bit of an unorthodox comp here as well. But hey, you take what the other team gives you. Artoris are going to be able to shut down Z Karma, but Benja finding Kitso out in that backline. The Nano came out on the Artoris there pretty early on, but they have that bomb here, so they can play a little bit aggressively, knowing that remake tool is there. But they used the bomb early.
Yep, they were about to be DMAC, decided to do that. That way it'd be a little bit easier to actually hit the DMAC. But here comes the Annihilation as well. Everybody going to flee momentarily. Artoris is going to go inside the room. Eventually going to go back over to the high ground as the Annihilation is going to run out. But Wed, again, going to be the first one going down here. Artoria is going to be separated from the team momentarily. Is literally sitting on 1 health. Is going to be DMAC'd, and this is them continuing forward. And hey, again, you've won consecutive fights now, and Artoria is getting a little bit of staggering.
You won consecutive fights, and this is probably the one thing I've been saying that Honduras really just needs to do throughout this series to really give themselves some momentum is find a way to, you know, get some fights in a row here, and they've done that now. And look, you already see Costa Rica making the swaps. Artorias now going to be mirroring the Ramadra here. However, you look at Z Karma, they've been on fire so far this map, already have that overclock ready to go here. Bob, though, from D22, going to probably use to stall out this card.
Yeah, Bob is there. You're going to the Tidal Blast be thrown in as well. Blade incoming right here as Lunar Sky gets rid of the Bob, but it's going to be Kitso shutting people down. With Z Karma going down, both the DPS have been taken out of the equation for Honduras. You should eventually see everybody be shut down here. They're trying to hang around, but inevitably they'll be taken out.
Last one left there will be Henry, but they'll be taken out right there. However, Honduras, you're in a pretty good spot right now, and especially since you didn't use either of your ultimates in that fight. The only thing you did use was the Tidal Blast, which I didn't think found anyone there. But look where you're coming in this next fight with Overclock, Blade, Kitsune Rush. You're in a really good spot right now. Costa Rica understands they don't have a lot in their bag here when it comes to ultimates, so they're pushing up, trying to take some space, find that early pick, buy them some time, because if they do find one pick, Honduras hasn't been a team that has necessarily just said, hey, we're going to take this 4v5, but the Kitsune Rush coming here early.
Yeah, and everyone's falling into the back, by the way. Kitso was trying to go for the backline instead. Rennie is going to go in with the Blade, is trying to chase down, is just not able to kind of find the slash that they need, so eventually he's going to get forced out, which, by the way, during this whole process, while Rennie is in the backline fighting the 2v1, this point barely gets touched in time. Rennie is gotten the better up here, and the fight will eventually go through, but still, they got that dangerously close to camping.
Dangerously close, but I think that was all just a really calculated play there from Costa Rica. They understood that they did not have that ultimate advantage, and Honduras used their ultimates really early. I mean, Kitsune Rush came out at Arches, the Overclock came out right after it, Blade came out right after it, and they found no picks, no kills. Costa Rica did everything right there. They just backed out, let those ultimates fade away, and then came right back in. Yeah, they almost gave it the point, but they came right back in with the Kitsune Rush to win them that fight. Now look what they have. They have a beat. They're going to have Annihilation. D22 already shutting down Z Karma, and Honduras not going to go in 4v5 here, trying to back out, but they might end up losing 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, they potentially could right now. Henry really low, eventually going to be taken care of, and yeah, just a wipe coming through here. And now they're going to play a ball aggressively, and the more time they take up here, the further that card's going to roll back.
You can already see kind of how far back it is rolling here. And Honduras, I mean, at this point, all they really need is one team fight to go their way, and it might just guarantee them this first or the second point. But you look at the ultimates come online here for Costa Rica. Again, you still have the beat, you have the Annihilation. Bob about to be online here for D22, who's just been hitting shot after shot. And Kitso gonna have another Blade here. Yeah, Benja gonna have their own Tidal Blast here, but the last time they used it, didn't find anyone. You need to put it on someone who's gonna be able to stun one out, but D22 falls early. It's Lunar Sky.
Yeah, but Benji is going to go all in aggressive. There's still 3 outs at the ready right now. Benji with that beat. Could be
the back cap, the back cap.
Wait, they did! They back cap! Oh, no. Oh, I think that might have been Rennie who got away with that one. Oh, no. Yeah, you got to say it. Oh, but the fight is still kind of there as everybody's going to get those good respawns. And with 5 ults on the table, they got to fight for final point now.
You gotta fight for final point, but I mean, the Annihilation coming out there from Henry didn't really find anything. Maybe bought them some space, but you did not want to see that really.
Yeah, and here comes that investment. Wetube is gonna get out of there momentarily, and yeah, they're just gonna be wiped away right there. You do manage to get out 3 ultimates in that fight, though, so all things considered, can't be too mad about that.
you got rid of 3 ultimates, but you got rid of 2. I mean, Honduras used 2 ultimates as well, and you have 2 ultimates ready to go right now. If you're Costa Rica, you're okay using 3 there, especially with the investment you saw there from Honduras, knowing that they probably don't have really anything else here coming up. Yeah, they have the Kitsune Rush running not that far away from a blade, but those 2 already this round have yet to really find any value. You have your own Kitsune Rush, you have your own Annihilation, and those are going to be really good ultimates here, especially in this tight corridor of the Underground.
Yeah, Torres gets burnt down. He's got the Pocket Annihilation just to stay alive. And eventually Kit's going to get the better of Rennie right here, and now they'll be able to run them over right there. Annihilation to survive ends up working out big time. Finds the finish onto Benja to end that fight, but now they have emptied the ult bank entirely.
Yeah, no ultimates ready. Hell, no ultimates above 35% right now for Costa Rica. You look at the other side, you're going to have your Overclock, you're going to have your Blade. You really need to find some value with the Z Karma. Got off to a really good start here for Honduras. Kind of quieted down. This Overclock might be the thing they need to really kickstart Honduras here going through the 3rd point.
Yeah, 100% right now. Karma is going to get the better, though. Rennie's going to try to get some with that blade, but hey, both hits of being down, no one to follow up with it now. So 30 seconds left on the clock as Benji is still in the backline, by the way.
Yeah, Lunar Sky trying to fight them there, but Benji doing a good job playing that Lucio, just kind of rolling around. Blade didn't find anything. Z-Karma, though, trying to get set up here for this Overclock. Has a good opportunity here, but they still are kind of worrying about Benji in that backline.
Yeah, and gets taken out. Pincered, and now it's a rough scenario. Kitto gets the final right there, and hey, you do lose Artorias, but unfortunately, you're prey on Henry being able to at least get this thing to stall to overtime, and you'll get that. But with that, I don't think anybody has the retouch.
I mean, you're going to see Z-Karma try to get back here, but they're not going to be able to. However, a really good round here for Honduras. Finally able to put it together a little bit. And again, I think it comes off of potentially Costa Rica maybe playing a little bit of an unorthodox comp, thinking because, hey, they've been dominating so far throughout this show match and this friendly that they could try something out. Just didn't end up working out for them. Now, if you're Honduras, you got that 1st point, you got that 2nd point in a back cap C9, which, I mean, especially because I believe Lunar Sky did find a pick in that fight. Whoever they found there had to be yelling like, hey, they're going for the cart there. So great plays coming out there from Honduras. Sometimes you just take what the other team gives you, and with how aggressive Costa Rica was playing there, you'll take the C9. But right now, you now go over to the defense side. Do we see Rennie come back out on that Mei? I think we probably do. The Genji has been a little bit hit or miss for them so far. However, I mean, 7-5, yeah, I would expect to see the Mei come out here. I think it would still be a really good play for them. But for the first time tonight here, Hunter, we talked about not seeing it at all. The Baptiste coming out here for Costa Rica. We're all seeing D22 come out here on the Bastion as well, so they might be expecting to see the Mei from the other side, honestly. And they just want something to get rid of those walls very, very quickly, but you see Rennie sticking with their guns here, sticking with the Cyber Ninja. And now, no big swaps actually coming out here from Honduras. On the other side, though, Kitso, D22, showing us something a little bit different here for the first time tonight.
Yeah, they sure are. I mean, wildly different, by the way. We'll see how well it works out. I think the one thing you have to be afraid of is they're just going to try to run in here and just burn down Henry. That is 100% the plan right now, so Henry needs to be ready for this to go down, because the moment they realize that, they need to position themselves correctly to try to stay out of harm's way as much as possible.
Lunar's taking a very aggressive flank angle there on the other side of the choke. Going to be able to get out because you see the entirety of Costa Rica just kind of rotate through that high ground right there. But yeah, like you said, I think the main goal here right now for Costa Rica, melt down Henry and melt them like they're a block of ice sitting on the sun.
Yeah, they're just going to drop through to the lower ground, rotate back up to the high ground. They might do the whole Philly special in this situation. I think they're going to loop potentially all the... Never mind. They're just probably going to drop here and go for it after a pick like that. They're going to move through. Lunar Sky is down early. With that, and just with too much separation, this is going to be very difficult to bring back.
Yeah, this is now a very interesting position here for Honduras. Even if they find a pick, they're basically going to have to deal with someone coming out of spawn. But Rennie does find D22. That's a lot of the damage gone here now. But who's going to be a touch? Rennie's trying to get there, but now Henry's back in the fray as well.
Yeah, you have Artorias extremely low right now. Immortality, though, there to clutch up. Rock could be enough. The accretion is trying to find something as Henry is barely staying alive here. It looks like inevitably they're going to be able to finish this one off. D22 trying to get back in and find a finish. Unfortunately for them, won't be able to do so.
I mean, give it up there to that support line for Honduras. Keeping Henry alive there was the biggest thing. The fact that you kept Henry alive throughout the entirety of that is the only reason they're still holding on this point right now. Ooh. And Lunar Sky, the off angles coming out from the Kiri, finding Wed out here early on. They're going to have that Amp Matrix ready to go, and you would have seen a lot of melting come out here. But the support line right now for Honduras really stepping up here.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving the way they've been playing so far. And they've been pressured a lot throughout this entirety of this show match right now, but they still have been consistent with a lot of good use from those ultimates. But we see the rotation through the hotel. Gonna let that Amp Matrix go as well. But Rennie's gonna be set up in pretty interesting territory right here, where someone is gonna have to inevitably touch right here. You're gonna see Henry be able to get this big stun right here. Is gonna get at least one. Back and forth trade, though, is going to be on the back of Z-Karma to try to bring this fight back around. Is going to be pressured out, forced to kind of hang around. Is everybody inside the room? Rennie down, though. Means this one could be potentially done and dusted, but Z-Karma finds a necessary pick onto Kitso to try to bring this one back around.
Lunar Sky, though, so on these off angles, really not even being contested, just being able to pump in a decent amount of damage on this Kiri, which is a sneaky good damage dealing support here. Gonna have to TP away, but the one thing that you're really hoping for here for Honduras is to get this Annihilation up here, but do they even get one more touch?
I don't think they do. No, they're going to be pushed out just in time, which, to be fair, Henry's going to was in a bad situation there, where even if the touch came through, he would have died. So now you're just hoping to get out as many people as you possibly can here, because whoever doesn't is getting those bad spawns.
I mean, you're seeing everyone run for the hills, running for their lives. You're going to be able to get out. Rennie and Benja going to be able to do that here, but you look at the other side now. Ultimate's coming online here for a lot of these, for both these teams. Henry coming up to their first annihilation, but look at Wed. Going to have their second Amp Matrix here ready to go. They're going to be able to come in very quickly, especially with a Blizzard and the beat and artillery as well. I mean, there's a lot that Costa Rica is going to be able to throw at Honduras here pretty early on, and I would not be surprised if once the Annihilation comes out, that Blizzard comes out as well, just trying to cancel it out.
Yeah, very likely. There's a nice wall right there. Cleanse is already used, forced through the wall, rock, everything. That is a devastating case of affairs right now, but Rennie is going to try to help clutch this around for their team. Deflect is there. This will have a little while longer without the tank. This is technically still winnable, but everyone needs to try to hang around, stay alive. But they're super separated now. Let me finish one at a time. But the bright side for you here is that that card is now just moving.
Yeah, Lunar Sky was doing a really good job of stalling the car for the longest time right there. You might see Costa Rica throw one or two more bodies on the car, try to get up a little bit further here, but this allows Honduras to come back in here and get one more contest. However, you look at what Costa Rica has, both their support ultimates and still that artillery. Ultimates that build space very, very easily. The only thing that you're going to see here pretty early on is that Annihilation, but both support ultimates must be ready for Honduras as well.
Yeah, no, all aggression. Cleanse comes through just in time. I think you're going to see a pretty aggressive Annihilation here. Yeah, there it goes, right around the corner. We always love to be right in this side. Unfortunately, not going to work out too well. They're going to be cut down, separated, and while there is a Flux ready, something tells me it's not going to be needed. A little bit more stall comes through here. It's eventually going to have quite a bit of time. 3:20 left on that clock for what is essentially one fight.
Yeah, one fight, but I mean, this is still a very difficult thing to kind of push through sometimes. Lunar dying their last nice ice wall coming out there from Kitso to really slow them down here. But I mean, you have both your support elements. You have an overclock coming up here for Honduras. You just need to get back out to this card. However, you look at Kitso coming online here with the Blizzard. That might just be what puts the final nail in the coffin here for this map. You need a lot to go your way right now, and losing Lunar, who's been so vitally important for you early, is not what you wanted.
Yeah, and it's right now Karma needs to try to find a little something. Freeze comes through. Henry has been taken down. Maybe you get one more touch here, but it's not going to quite matter. Artorias finishes the last three, takes another map for Costa Rica, but they did mess around and find out quite a bit there towards the beginning parts, and you could see that even though they made the adjustments, that defense initially for Honduras was working out pretty well.
Yeah, again, we've been saying it throughout the night. Honduras has been getting, they've been getting better. They've looked a lot better. Circuit Royale was a little bit of a toss-up maybe with that there, but this map here, they really benefited off of Costa Rica, definitely played some unorthodox compositions, and they kept that momentum rolling. That was one thing we were really hoping to see from them, the fact that they got that momentum and really didn't let it go. A back cap, yeah, gets you that second point, but again, sometimes that's what wins you maps. Back caps, C9s, mistakes from the other team, and Honduras capitalized capitalized on it there, but Costa Rica came right back on their attacking round there. Yeah, had a little bit of struggles coming out the gate. I think Honduras put an excellent first point defense, just wasn't able to keep it going there. Great plays coming out there from Costa Rica to really open up a lot there. But once he's got through street phase, you could kind of tell the writing was on the wall there because a lot of stuff needed to go Honduras's way, and it just didn't happen there. Costa Rica went back to that sound kind of play style we saw them throughout the first 4 maps there after a little bit of the hiccup they had to start off Kings Row.
Yeah, 100%. It is quite a bit of a hiccup. Again, they tried to make something happen. It didn't really work out, but even when they made that adjustment, they were still losing quite a couple of those fights. I think you saw Rennie and Z-Karma step up quite a bit more in that engagement. But you have to give credit to Lunar Sky, who was kind of just taking the DPS category into their own hands there, constantly hitting up that backline. At the very least, it was taking attention away. You were able to find people like D22 who were being caught up before fights were truly beginning. So it's a good display for them. I think they look a lot better in that situation as we're ready to head to a 6th map now, as it appears.
We still haven't played a push map, but we're going to our second control map. Ilios is going to be the next map. Could be the final map. Again, you don't know. We don't know how many maps are going to be played here tonight. But yeah, you talk about Lunar Sky here for Honduras. That has been probably the player that I think has really just impressed us more and more every map here for Honduras. Being able to really help out their team at a lot of points. They were a good stall player there. They were able to find a lot of picks. It seemed like Costa Rica was just kind of ignoring them, but they really made it to where Costa Rica could not ignore them there. But heading into Ilios now, I mean, yeah, they're kind of playing around at the moment. Doesn't look like we're going to see any swaps come in here for either side. Rennie still getting in here. This is going to be their 3rd map. It looks like Rennie and who was the other one? Chinchilla. Both are going to get 3 maps at least here tonight. It's going to be really interesting though what we see from these teams whenever we actually start up this map.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll automatically go in here momentarily, but we'll see. You can't take anything you see seriously at this time. I'm going to zone in on Karma, though, who is just having a bit of fun. Yeah, even Benji's not sure why it hasn't gone through. As actually, I'm pretty sure that was the reaction of Henry going off the cliff, essentially.
But again, let's just kind of stress this is a friendly show match here for these two teams, as both these teams are getting very much prepared for... Okay, it looks like we're restarting the map. As both these teams are getting prepared for the qualifying rounds here of Overwatch World Cup, which does happen all the way at the end of this year. Qualifying stuff does, I believe, start up here, like what, a couple months from now?
Yeah,
a month or 2 from now.
It'll be quite a bit of time, honestly, until we have those actual qualifiers come through. But you're going to see a lot of these teams still participating in things like this, whether it is just scrims or show matches, to kind of just continually improve and show other people what they can do as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could take a page out of FIFA and call this international friendly between these two teams. But right now, I mean, again, you can look at the score and say, yeah, Costa Rica has dominated this series, and pretty much they have. But I think Honduras, again, you can take a lot away from this here. You can figure out what you kind of struggled with. You can figure out what you did really good with here. I think now you're getting Costa Rica maybe a little bit locked back in here a little bit going into this map, especially as you see basically what you've been seeing from them all night long. Yeah, you're basically seeing them go back to what they played back on Lijiang Tower. On the other hand, you're seeing a little bit more swaps come out here from Honduras. You're seeing Henry come out on the Winston. We haven't necessarily seen that from them, as I believe on Watchpoint Gibraltar, they played the Hazard. Instead, Z-Carbon now showing us the Genji. Normally, Rennie's been playing that, but instead, they are on the Tracer. I like these kind of changes coming out here from Honduras, because that is what these friendlies are all about.
Yeah, like I said, you're not seeing this team play the same 2 compositions back-to-back. Benja is going to get a pretty good boop there on D22, but fights should be pretty secure. Kitso has been, in terms of everything, has kind of been the big standout for this squad thus far. Has been very consistent, especially on that Vendetta.
I mean, yeah, and that's been one thing that we talked about, especially early on when they had these Vendetta and Zarya comps. It seems like anytime, Rennie.
No.
Coming out on the May after 1 life on the Tracer, finding Wet out pretty early on here, and Benji now trying to find a back kill here, but Benji gonna be able to send them away here. But right now, Honduras play faster, you have the advantage, and looks like they're gonna try to take it. However, Henry needs to get out of dodge real quick.
Yeah, got slowly put back in, but it's still alive. You see that bubble to be able to get Kitso in there. Big dive over to the backline and says, Kitso's still trying to find somebody. Hasn't gotten to anybody yet, but there's a lot of low people as Henry is going to trade bodies out, but this is a potentially winnable fight right here. Z Karma got a nice finish over on D22 as, again, Kitso wants to try to bring this one back around. Unfortunately, with a full charge available for Artorias, it is unlikely to pull this one out as they'll find the finish.
You were finding trades there for Honduras. One thing I was saying that they really needed to do here, however, you're finding trades on maybe some low-value targets there. As long as Artorias is still alive on the Zarya, like you said, they're always fully charged. Kitso's going to be able to do that for them. Benji.
Oh, goodness, Benji.
But hey, that gives Honduras a good opportunity here to play fast, and that's exactly what they're going to do. But Henry needs to make sure they don't go too far.
Ooh, Benja, it's a nice boom kill right there. Door is opened up immensely for them here. But D22 is back into the fight. Takes care of Karma. And Benji is this time is going to get the boop right there, and that fight's just going to be shut down. Slowly but surely, they're going to get burnt away. And now you got one fight remaining. Should be able to get back in time, but that grab is still threatening.
Thank you.
Yeah, that grab is still threatening. The Pete's threatening. You have the Overclock, the Thundering Blade. I mean, right now, even if you don't build up those ultimates here for Costa Rica, you still feel very confident here, especially with them playing so far up. But Benji, at this point, is just trying to get the disrespectful boop kills out of spawn.
Yeah, and you're going to get that touch for the overtime. It is going to cost Z-Karma's life here. Grab is going to catch on to everybody remaining. Beat, not put online. The freeze is there as well, and everybody deleted. You're going to get one if you're Henry. Unfortunately, you are nowhere close to the Primal Rage. And while Benji gets hit with yield reset, first point is going to go here to Costa Rica.
I mean, again, a dominant round from Costa Rica, but you could tell that Benji is really trying to get some of these boop kills and putting themselves behind the 8-ball a little bit, but they've been able, the rest of the team has been able to basically pick up the slack there. Artorias, Kitso, and D22 doing a lot. Wed had to get off, I think, the Kiri going over to the Moira, as they were honestly just getting bullied for the first time tonight on that Kiri. So they needed something a little bit more survivable here, but you see Artorias maybe showing us something a little bit different here with the Winston. I do like it. Wed gonna stay on the Moira here, but Rennie gonna make the swap over here to the Pharah. Lunar Sky gonna join them on the Mercy, so we have that pharmacy back here. But Artorias just teasing us in the spawn, going right back over to the Zarya, which has been dominant throughout the night. Lunar, though, no pharmacy this time around. Actually, yep, nope, there's the pharmacy, just the speed ring to get out.
Yeah, there it is. See how well it's going to perform right here. Obviously, we saw it before with a little bit of show from Kitso earlier, who ran it back on Circuit Royale. But now, it's come out here for Honduras to try to make a little something happen. It's forcing everybody back at the very least, putting everybody in a bit of an awkward situation. Artorias is extremely low. And is getting forced back as point opens up here. Honduras has an initial touch, and Lunar Sky of all people takes care of Benji. Unfortunately, maybe went out a little too far there, as everyone forced to kind of run their own separate ways. They go for the full dive up top. They don't get anybody for it, though. And as a matter of fact, Henry's going to die for their causes, and unfortunately, there's not going to be a realistic touch here as Kitso again finishing everybody off. And that was a good start for Honduras. Unfortunately, it just kind of falls apart.
Yeah, Kitso stopping everything there from stopping Honduras there from capping the point. Now finding 2 more picks, looking for a third one here. Going to be able to at least help Benji find their counterpart out on the other side. And now they are just progressing further and closer to the spawn. Henry going to be able to shut down Kitso right there, but you're just seeing the trades go the way of Costa Rica here at the moment. I mean, and Benji not making the swap over here to the Kiriko. I do like that for them there. I think the Lucio was not necessarily going to work out for them, but Lunar Sky trying to take it to Benji here.
Yeah, trying their darndest to do so. We'll see momentarily what the case is going to be, as Ultimate's not really a factor yet. I like Rennie just trying to bring a little bit of pressure and force everybody back. The recall, though, puts them in an awkward position. We'll be able to get out alive, though. Here comes that aggression from Benji to move in super aggressively for a moment. He's going to get punished for it, though. As Lunar Sky extremely low, but does have that Valkyrie around the corner and is being burnt. It's just being burnt away in the backline by Wed. Gets caught out, and now Coalescence ready. I mean, Costa Rica's just in a really good spot right now, as they're going to coalesce in here.
I mean, they're going to coalesce in here. It might be a little bit of aggressive, but I mean, I don't blame them for doing it. They've just been strong throughout this entire round so far. Z Karma needs to back up, but I don't think Costa Rica's going to allow them to here. And now if you're Honduras, you're in this really awkward spot where you have enough members to potentially engage in, and Henry going to take that opportunity, but still, it's a 3v5 at the moment.
Yeah, and the res comes through, unfortunately. It's going to be at the cost of losing out on your Mercy, who had the Valkyrie, by the way. So now you go into this fight, losing more bodies. The bright side is you're going to get a full reset here for a 1 more touch. The Primal Rage is going to be online with that Valkyrie, but it is still a rough situation.
Still really rough here. If you're Honduras, take the time here, regroup. You have one opportunity, and you look at the other side, they only have a beat and a Sundering Blade. You need to be able to get out spawn here. You have the Valkyrie, you're going to have to get that Primal Rage here very, very quickly.
Yeah, beat them through, by the way. They're going really aggro with this one. Yeah, they're going to get pushed back, and you're going to see Artorias try to finish some bodies off right here. You're going to have somebody touching the point, so you are going to get the overtime experience going on here as, yeah, you see bodies hanging around. You could potentially get a flip here. Going to try to get rid of Wed 2, who eventually will be taken down by, again, Lunar Sky of all people, who's been consistently popping off. But still, the numbers game is playing its back there. They're getting first down. All this charge coming through from Artorias is going to give them another map here shortly. They're going to bring back Henry. Unfortunately for Henry, though, their fate is still very much sealed.
Grab coming out the barrage. Actually going to be able
what?
to shut down one, shut down two. Honduras finding a flip here right now and also giving Artorias their first death of the map here. And now, if you are Honduras, you have to take this momentum now. I don't think you need to be doing what they're doing right now, which is pushing up, but I don't blame them. You have some momentum. You have an ultimate in your back pocket. Why not push up a little bit? But you need to be smart with it. You see them falling back now. They can still play up here aggressively if they have good tools to get out. WedTube, though, that Coalescence going to be ready here online very momentarily here for Costa Rica. A lot can come from that, especially the last time they used it. Use it very aggressively, but that's been something we've been seeing all night from Costa Rica.
We 100% have it. We'll see how things go from here. But you still has the Coalescence to get over into this fight. If you can catch somebody off guard, it'd be massive. But Lunar Sky is the one that goes aggressive again. Unfortunately, he's going to be cornered. He's just going to be run down by Wetsu again with the Coalescence, as Artorias given all this amazing healing to be able to stay alive a little while longer. Consider Rush going to be thrown out there, but unfortunately, Z-Karma's still down. Henry is getting all the healing possible. Unfortunately, the team is just falling around them right there. You get a couple more touches. Rennie has a Pulse Bomb around the corner. Unfortunately, I don't think any Pulse Bomb in the world is going to be able to stop this from going down. Maybe you get one more touch here. You have Lunar Sky going to get in on the touch right now. Gives Rennie the opportunity to get back in with a Pulse Bomb. It's thrown into the middle of nowhere. It won't get anybody, and it looks like that will be the end of that. Another map going the way of Costa Rica, but again, it's still a really good fight back from Honduras.
Yeah, really good, and we're seeing the GGs in the chat, so that might be it for this one here. Costa Rica taking all of our maps, like we said, coming into the night, probably the better team on paper, and they kind of did show us that throughout the night, but Honduras, like I've kind of been saying, like me and you have been saying here, Hunter, we were really impressed with them. They got a lot better as the night went on. Yeah, they weren't able to find that map win, but they started to get a little bit of consistency back on King's Row. Granted, it kind of went away here on Ilios, but still, there's a lot, I think, to be proud of here if you're Honduras. First time, again, we're going to assume it's the first time they're having something like this where they're playing another nation team, another country's team. And I think even though they lost all the maps, there's good stuff they can take away from this. There's a lot of good VOD review stuff here as well. So if you're Honduras, it's going to be really fun to see this team here in maybe a month from now when they're going up against someone else and just see how much of a different team this is here. But for Costa Rica, I mean, they seem really, really strong right now. Granted, we haven't seen what a lot of the other nation team or country teams look like just yet. I imagine we'll start seeing a couple of them put out rosters here in the coming weeks. So we'll have a little bit more to judge off of. But hey, a good early showing here from them. Have to really believe that this is going to be one of those teams that could be fighting for that wild card spot here in the Americas.
Yeah, because like we said near the beginning, is that both these teams are going to be in that wild card as well. And to be fair, Costa Rica is a team that has always been able to kind of show up in a lot of these situations. Obviously, they've only competed in the two, obviously most recently the one back in 2023. Where I think it was unfortunate because they were put in a situation where they were in the same group as US, Mexico, and Canada. That's a rough situation. Obviously, we'll have to see how the groups form this year when we get to that point. But I think this is a good start for them. I think there's a reason to believe in a team like this. I think there's a reason to believe in both of these teams in this situation. Because for Honduras, all they can do is keep moving up and getting better and better and better. That's their situation. And for Costa Rica, I think it's refining what they do and having that level of consistency that we've seen from a lot of these players already that they just need to be able to perfect in that period of time.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw with the unorthodox comp there on the start of King's Row, where maybe they were starting to feel themselves a little bit there. They got shut down very quickly and made the swaps right over to it, and Honduras still gave them a little bit of a run for their money. So this is a team that when they're very, very confident, they might start to slip a little bit. So they have to be able to kind of balance that out here. But it's going to be really fun to watch Costa Rica as we go on here, because I imagine we will see them again. Speaking of seeing stuff like this again, I mean, it's going to be really interesting here. We do potentially know of some other matches coming up here. Maybe not in the next couple days, maybe next week, but still, you're going to want to make sure you follow Hunter on Twitter to know when we have these show matches coming up.
Yeah, because like we kind of stated before, we don't know when certain things are going to happen. I mean, heck, we didn't know about this until just a few days ago. I mean,
2 days ago,
not even like that, 2 days ago. But I'm happy.
36 hours ago.
But I'm happy it came up, and we're like, oh, we'll do it. We got this. And obviously, I'll throw this out here now. If you, because there's people watching this. If you are someone that wants to have a show map represented and put on something, legit, let us know. We are here. We are happy to do these things. More than
If we are available, we will do it.
That's the kid. If we are available, we will go for it. Just feel free to reach out to honestly either one of us, whichever one of us you can find first. But no, this is a lot of fun here today. I think Costa Rica looks pretty good. I think Honduras have a ton that they'll be able to work on, and I think there's a lot of good points that did exist within this, where they're able to get momentum. We're able to work with it. But I'm happy with how this went. I like the way things are trending, because hopefully this is kind of just going to be the start of what's going to be a very fantastic year of the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to see it back right now. I know a lot of people are really happy that it's back. Maybe one of the things that is maybe bringing the most joy right now in Overwatch. But I mean, hey, I think Honduras, they have a good foundation. It's going to be really fun to see them build upon that foundation. Like you said, Costa Rica, they already have that foundation built. They're already building up. It's going to be really fun to see them take on another team here. Maybe Puerto Rico. I think I saw some people from Puerto Rico in the chat saying, hey, got to get them on here sometime. It'd be really fun to see Puerto Rico as well. But hey, it all comes down to if the two teams are able to get it scheduled and set up. But a lot of Overwatch World Cup action coming up here. At least more show matches we hope that we're going to be able to cover.
Yeah, and obviously, as soon as we know, we'll let you know as well. And honestly, just make sure to go follow a bunch of the team socials as well. They're always posting and they're talking about things. You've already had teams out in, not only here in South America and Central America, out in Europe as well, starting to have show matches already. It's happening all across the world already. People are pumped up for this. And I think especially with some little bit of recent news that we're not going to discuss, I think people are looking towards the World Cup very heavily this year as a big source of entertainment. So we hope you'll join us for that journey. It's going to be a very long one, but a very fruitful one. So thank you all for coming out here. Again, keep an eye on them socials to see when we'll be back next for another show match. Obviously, we'll be back later next week coming up here with Face It League for North America and hopefully maybe a little bit of South America, a little bit of chaos down there. But regardless, we hope you all have a fantastic night and we'll see you next time.